Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Cheyann. This video is a crazy one. This is going to be a story time with Chey, and I'm going to tell you guys all about being 17 years old and getting robbed at gunpoint and getting my car stolen. So I suggest pausing this video right now before you hear this crazy story. Go ahead and grab your favorite choice of drink. I got my coffee right here. This is my third cup of coffee and it's 8 o'clock at night, but we're here and we're doing it. So grab your favorite drink and let's just jump right into this video. When I was 17 years old, my senior year of high school, I lived in a really small town in Arizona. I think my graduating class was maybe 150. It's a super small town. And I love the town I lived in. It was one of those little towns where you could literally leave your car unlocked and nothing would happen. Everybody knew everybody. It was basically just like your all-American just little town. Nothing bad ever happened there. During winter break, I played high school basketball. I was on the varsity team. I've played basketball all through high school, but during winter break, we had practices at 7 in the morning. I don't know why my coach was so mean at making us wake up on our winter break to be at practice at 7 in the morning, but it happened. So our practice was at 7 in the morning, and I was always the first person to practice. Growing up, I played club basketball, club soccer, and we were always taught that 15 minutes early is on time and being on time is late. So I always showed up to practice 15 minutes early. So I would always get there at like 6:45, 6:30 sometimes. And I would pick up my best friend who lived about 20 minutes away from me. She lived in this little apartment complex, and I've been over there many, many times, stayed the night, nothing ever happened. Well, one morning I woke up, I want to say it was 2 weeks before Christmas, maybe a week before Christmas. And I woke up at 6 in the morning, ate breakfast, and it was pitch black because in wintertime it gets really dark super quick. That's why it's like pitch black outside right now. And it's also 8 o'clock, so that has something to do with it too. But in the wintertime, it gets dark so quickly. And I remember just waking up, just having this weird feeling in my stomach, but I didn't know what it was. And where I lived, we lived in a ranch, not in a ranch, on a ranch, and it was pitch black. I remember walking out my front door at around 6:15 in the morning, and I just had this eerie feeling. And I never really had that feeling before. My car was not far from the front door whatsoever. And on our property, we had a huge fence. So nobody could get in without the gate code. Nobody could really hop the fence because it was an electric fence. No animals could get in to eat our animals. So it was super secure. But I had this feeling in my gut that something was just off and wrong. And I actually ran from the front door to my car. I couldn't see, it was pitch black. I was just freaked out. I got in my car and I was like, okay, that was weird. So I texted my best friend. I was like, hey, best friend, I'm on my way. I'm running a little early, but hey, I'm just gonna be there in 10 minutes. I was driving down the road, but that feeling never left. Just that uneasy feeling was just in my stomach, in my head, in my heart, just all around me. I was just like, okay, whatever. And I'm the type of person, when I drive, I just crank up my music and I'm just like, da-da-da, dancing, singing. I'm that person who thinks they're on American Idol in the car. That is me. I am not ashamed of it. But I remember pulling up to my best friend's house and it was still completely black, like pitch black. There was maybe 1 or 2 streetlights, and I parked right under the streetlight. That was just something I always did. And I texted her, I was like, hey, I'm here. And she said, okay, I just got up. I'll be there in 10-15 minutes. I said, hey, no problem. I'm early anyway, so whatever. Sitting there on my phone, just looking down, scrolling through Facebook. All of a sudden, my driver door opened up. And I thought it was my best friend trying to scare me. And when I turned, this is going to be a gun, even though it's a remote. So my door opened, and right when I turned, there was a gun right here. And then he pressed it up against the side of my head. So I was like this, and he went like that. My heart is like racing right now just thinking about it. And he goes, don't say anything, get out of the car. And me, being the person I am, I said, huh? Literally, that's what I said. I said, huh? And he pressed the gun harder into my head and said, don't make a noise and get out of the car. And in that moment, I had my phone in my lap like this. And I grabbed my phone and he said, leave your phone. And I just threw it into the passenger seat. But I remember when he opened up the door and the gun was right here, I turned and he had a hood on. So the hood was on top of him. and all you could see were his eyes. He had a shirt up like this, so the hood was over this, so all I saw was this. And when I got out of the car, I looked, and there was somebody else on the passenger side who opened the door, and he had a gun pointed at me as well. So I'm standing outside of the car, and the one guy on the passenger side, he looked at me and he just shook his head, and he got in, and then the driver, he got in, and they sped off. And I remember just standing there, and I actually peed my pants a little bit because I was so scared, but I thought I was dreaming. I thought this was like not a dream. I thought this was actually a nightmare. I didn't think this was really happening, but my whole body was just like shaking. And when I peed on myself a little bit, it like snapped me out of it. And I just booked it to my best friend's door, and I started banging on her door, yelling, "I just got robbed! I just got robbed!" And where her door was, her grandma's window was right here because she lived with her grandma, and her grandma opened the window. She said, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "I just got robbed at gunpoint." She ran, opened up the door. We called the cops. Cops came, they took my statement. About an hour later, the cops ended up calling my mom because she came home from work, and they told her like, "Hey, we just got the hit on Cheyenne's car. We know where it is." Lo and behold, the two guys who were in my car, they didn't realize I had no gas. I had to get gas right before we got to basketball practice, otherwise my car was gonna freaking die. And that's exactly what happened. My car ran out of gas, still in this little town. So they didn't get out of the little town we lived in. They were still there, and this was like an hour and a half later. My car ended up running out of gas, and the two guys, they ended up picking up another guy. So there was 3 guys in my car at this point. My car ran out of gas in front of a farmer's house. So the 3 guys walked to the farmer's house, knocked on his door, and was like, "Hey, our car just ran out of gas. Can we borrow your truck and go get some gas?" I don't think they sounded like that, but that's just my voice. Go with it. So the farmer was like, "Yeah, hey, no problem. Here's my car keys. Take the truck. Here's a gas can. Go ahead." He had a really weird feeling, though, the cop said, about these guys. So he ended up walking out to the front of his property where my car was, and he walked around my entire car. And that's when he knew something was off. So in my car, I had on the mirrors, I had hanging a pink lei that was from Hawaii from my cousin's wedding. And on the back, there was a pink princess tiara sticker that my mom gave me when I was 16 years old. I don't know why she put it on my car because I did not like pink. And this guy saw my backpack, my basketball bag, just all this girl stuff, and he knew something was wrong. He ended up opening my driver's side door because it was unlocked, and he found my insurance card and called the insurance company, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, this car is reported stolen. Call your local authorities." And that's exactly what he did. He ended up calling the local police, and they're like, "We're on our way. This car has been stolen. Somebody was robbed at gunpoint. We'll be there in a minute." The guys ended up coming back maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the cops got there. So at this point, the guys fill up the tank, they jump back in my car, and they take off. And the cops end up 2 or 3 minutes later at the farmer's house, and they're like, "Which way did they go?" And the farmer's like, "That way." Now that's when the high-speed chase started to happen. They ended up catching the guys in my car, and I remember the cops saying, "Wow, we really didn't expect your car to have that much get up. Your thing's pretty fast." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." My car had like a 5-cylinder Honda motor. Like, this thing had some get up, and nobody believed me until it got in a high-speed chase. But it ended up in a high-speed chase. And in Arizona, there's these things called washes, and it's where water runs through from the mountains and the snow melting. And yes, there is snow in Arizona. I didn't know that till I moved there either. But they ended up going through the desert on a high-speed chase, going through a wash, and the cops had to spin my car out. And when they spun my car, they ended up hitting a cactus. And when they gave me back my car, there was still half a cactus in my car, like in the passenger seat. There was half a cactus. They ended up arresting 2 out of the 3 guys. One of the guys, he was able to get out of the car and just book it in the desert, like went on a huge run and outran the police. He was actually missing for 2 weeks. While they stole my car, though, they had plenty of time to take money. They had my credit cards, they had all my basketball gear, they had all my school stuff, they had my ID, they knew where I lived. I was terrified. And the little tiny town that we lived in, everybody knew everybody. And my biggest fear was that these guys were gonna come find me, because we found out that the night before I got robbed at gunpoint, these guys robbed a little old lady, beat her up where she had to be in the hospital. They took her car and they were in a high-speed chase with the police and they were shooting at them. So these guys were super, super dangerous. Well, they arrested 2 of them, and 2 weeks later, they finally caught the one guy who was like the ringleader of everything. And that's because he tried to use my debit card and take money out, and they were able to pinpoint what gas station he was at. And from there, they were able to do like this little paper trail, and they found him. So like, I didn't have my car for about 2 weeks because they had to fingerprint it. They had to like look at all the evidence. They had to collect evidence. And when I got my car back, it was so weird. There was dust prints from the fingerprinting stuff all over my car. And I remember them asking like, hey, what was in your car and is this stuff yours? And there was a huge bag of cocaine in the car. And they go, I don't think that was yours, but we have to ask. I was like, no, that definitely was not mine. There was perfume in there that wasn't mine. So they ended up actually picking up a girl too, and they arrested her eventually. It was insane. So the theory the detectives have is that they were trying to go to Mexico, because living in Arizona, we were close to Mexico, and they were using my car as a drug car, and they were gonna chop it down in Mexico, sell it for all the parts and all that stuff. But the thing that really freaked me out is the guy said that they could have kidnapped me if they wanted to, if they had more time. And the creepier part is, I don't think you can get any creepier than the kidnapping part, but a part that really made my hair stand up is when I got my car back, I was missing a lot of stuff. The night before I got robbed at gunpoint, we had a basketball tournament, and after basketball games, I would always bring extra underwear, extra sports bras, because I didn't want to sit in my sweat and just, you know, catch some diseases. So I would always change my dirty underwear, my dirty sports bra, and I would just throw them in my basketball bag. Well, we got home really late that night from the tournament, and we had to get up really early for practice the next morning. So I was like, you know what, I'm just leaving this stuff in here. They took my underwear and my sports bra. They took one basketball shoe. They took one pair of shorts. They took my school bag. They took my books. They took my ID that had like my picture, my address on there. In my binder, I had pictures of me and my best friends. So I was really freaking out. I was like, holy crap, these guys know exactly what I look like. They know exactly where I live. And I was living a complete nightmare for 2 weeks when they couldn't find this guy. What really freaked me out is I was at school, and there was a huge email that went around that the principal sent out and said, hey, one of the kids from the school, Cheyenne, as you guys know, got robbed at gunpoint. Please do not say anything because it's a small town and it's still under investigation. My forensic science teacher, the teacher you think would not say anything because he's involved with policing stuff, he goes, right when class starts, Cheyenne, that was you who got robbed at gunpoint, right? I literally, this was me in my chair, just, that's what I ended up doing when he said that. And I was like, yeah, that was me. I wanted to poop myself, but they ended up, I think, getting 11 years, 10 or 11 years. And yeah, so that is it for this video. If you guys enjoy these story times with Chey videos, give this video a thumbs up. Your girl has some stories. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and leave in the comments down below what story time video you would like to see next. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you. Bye.